Why should you choose between Exchange Full Hybrid and Minimal Hybrid? Well, in this video, we're going to show you exactly why. What is Exchange Hybrid is the first question I'm going to answer, because if you don't know, then all of this might seem a little hard to explain. So first of all, Exchange Hybrid is when you've got a relationship between your Exchange servers on premises and Office 365 in the cloud. For an Exchange Hybrid relationship, it consists of a few different things, and the key parts to that are, number one, email routing, where we've got SMTP mail flow back and forward from the cloud, so that if you have somebody hosted in Office 365 and they email somebody on premises, then we have a secure path for email to flow. It's almost as if Exchange thinks that Office 365 is part of the organization and vice versa. Perhaps they send a message with a voting message on to answer, or they've set an internal out of office auto reply. This secure SMTP relationship that's built up for hybrid means that Exchange just thinks it's part of the same organization. The next part we've got for that is availability and free busy. So our free busy relationship sits here, and it allows us to see if somebody's in the office or not at the office. Maybe you're scheduling a meeting with somebody next week and you want to see whether they're free, or perhaps you're booking a meeting room. What the free busy relationship allows us to do is look across that boundary and see who's free and who's not free. And we can also complement that with extended permissions that Azure AD Connect allows us to supplement those with. So we might, for example, have permissions on somebody's calendar, so you can have read-write access across those boundaries, or access to shared mailboxes. And the other part of this, and this is the core part of hybrid, is the pieces that allow us to do mailbox moves. And I'll put that as MRS because it uses the same technologies that Exchange uses between two servers internally to move those mailboxes across. And that, for many organizations, is why they choose hybrid, because it allows them to do a mailbox migration without sometimes the users even noticing. So why would you pick between the two? Well, perhaps you need to do a quick migration into Office 365. Maybe you've got 100 people in the organization, for example, and you're just going to move them all over the weekend. They might not need the secure mail flow, because after you move, you might move your mail flow across. Or perhaps you might not need the free busy. If you're moving 100 people over the weekend, or perhaps you're moving them over 2 nights, then you might be willing to lose some of that complex setup that's required to put this in place. One of the things that Microsoft announced at Microsoft Ignite in 2018 was the ability to use something called the hybrid agent. What the hybrid agent allows you to do is configure hybrid without needing to put all of the bits in place to publish Exchange to the internet. For full hybrid, you do need those things for the SMTP mail flow. However, if you're using minimal hybrid, then you'll only need that hybrid agent in the future, and it allows you to do this all-important mailbox moves. So why would you pick between the two? Well, perhaps you need a quick migration to the cloud and you don't need that rich coexistence. The hybrid agent, for example, is going to allow you to set up these parts without needing to configure your firewall to suit. So perhaps if it is just a fast migration that you want, then use the hybrid agent in combination with minimal hybrid to get this part working. So fast migrations are the number one reason to use minimal hybrid. But why would you use full hybrid? Well, if you're planning on a migration, perhaps it will take 2 or 3 months, then you'll almost certainly need secure SMTP mail flow between the two organizations while some people are still on premises and some people in the cloud. And you'll need that free busy, you'll need that availability. People still need to book meeting rooms after their mailbox has been moved to the cloud, for example, or see the availability of their colleagues while they're moving across. You can't batch everybody up who works together at the same time. So it might be more complex on the setup, but it'll pay off in terms of user experience. The other reason to use minimal hybrid though, and this is the one after the migration finishes and is applicable to even if you started using full hybrid as your starting position, is when you've moved the last mailbox to the cloud. You'll still need some sort of hybrid management relationship where you'll manage the mailboxes on premises, even though they're now in the cloud, because you've got hybrid identity, you've got Azure AD Sync, synchronizing your user accounts into Office 365. And because your Active Directory is the master, then Exchange on premises still needs to manage things like the list of email addresses. So you might move away from a full hybrid and result in a minimal hybrid at the end of your deployment, so that you don't have to have this two-way relationship between the cloud, but you've still got management capabilities. So full hybrid for long-term coexistence, minimal hybrid for quick, fast migrations.